We live in a world where anything we put our hope on will be shaken. If you put your hope on stock markets, it'll be shaken. If you put your trust in your job or career, it'll be shaken. If you put your trust in your relationship, one day it'll be shaken. Everything you put your trust in this world will one day be shaken, and your hope will be shattered. See, there are only two phases in life. One is the wanting phase, and the other is the disappointing phase. In the first phase, we want a good job. We want a good boyfriend or girlfriend. We want a good marriage. We want more money. We want to look good. And all of these are wants in our hearts, and we pursue it. The second phase is when we get disappointed after we get these things. It's a disappointing phase. After we achieve all these things, our hearts will never be content, and it'll want for more, and it'll be disappointed with what you once desperately wanted. Oscar Wilde said, in this world there are two tragedies. One is not getting what one wants, and the other is getting it. And that's true. That's the tragedy that we all live in. People get up every day hoping they will make more money, hoping they will find peace and joy by going for a charity run, hoping the relationship they have is all they need, hoping going to the job and pursuing success and fame is going to bring happiness. But that's not true. Tim Keller said, if you put your hope, your ultimate hope, into anything in your life, in your job or in your money, in your status, sufferings and circumstances can take it away. And your life will always be characterized by a ground note of anxiety. You will always be anxious. The only way to face life in any circumstances is if you find a way for ultimate hope into something that suffering and death can't take it away, something eternal. The writer of the Hebrew said, there is one thing in this world where if we put our hope on, it'll never be moved. It'll never be shaken. The verse goes like this: we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain, where our forerunner, Jesus, has entered on our behalf. See, an anchor keeps a ship steady in the storm. It goes deep into the ocean bed and keeps the ship firm and secure. And Christ is our anchor. And if we put our hope on Christ, we'll never be moved. Storms may come and batter your ship, but Christ, our anchor, holds. No storm can uproot this anchor. No power can destroy this anchor. This anchor is indestructible. This anchor is eternally powerful. See, just like an anchor goes deep into the ocean bed, Christ has entered deep into the inner sanctuary, behind the curtain, when no one has gone there before, no man has gone there before. Christ is the God-man who has entered on our behalf, representing us. Christ is a great high priest and who pleads on our behalf. Christ can sympathize with our weaknesses because he lived as a man for 33 years in this earth. Christ knows about the sufferings and trials we go through. Christ knows about the fiery force of temptation that you and I go through. Christ knows about the storms that we face in our life. He knows that how people can betray us. He knows how people can be selfish. He knows what it is to feel tired and weak. Christ knows what it is to be in sickness and disease, because on the cross he bore our sickness and disease. He knows what it is to feel lonely, because in the Garden of Gethsemane he asked some of his best friends to watch and pray, but they didn't. Christ can understand your weaknesses. Christ can understand my weaknesses. He understands what we go through in life. See, before Christ there were many high priests, but the problem with all those high priests was they were all mortal. They all had a limited lifespan. So if you and I were to put a hope on one of those high priests, it is not for very long, because one day that high priest has to die. But unlike other high priests, Christ lives forever. He has no sin. He is unchangeable. He is eternally loving. He is selfless. His love is relentless. So when we hold on to this anchor, Christ, we will never be shaken. No storms can batter our ship, because even in the midst of the storm, the anchor holds. Going back to what Tim Keller said, if you put your ultimate hope into anything in your life, in your job or money or status or relationship, sufferings and death can take it away, and you'll always be anxious. Your life will always be characterized by a ground note of anxiety. The only way to face life in any circumstance is if you find a way for ultimate hope into something that suffering and death can't take it away, something eternal, and that is Christ, the anchor, who's the sure and steady anchor, firm and secure, and He holds us fast. The writer of the Hebrews also said, God did this so by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie. We who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. What is the writer saying here? What does he mean by we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged? See, in the Mosaic law, anyone who committed a murder was to be put to death. But for unintentional deaths, God set aside some cities called cities of refuge, to which the killer could flee for refuge, and he would be safe from the avenger, that is normally the family member charged with avenging the victim's death. Anyone who flees to the city of refuge can live there safely until the death of the high priest who was in office at the time. See, if the attacker left the city of refuge before the death of the high priest, the avenger would have the right to kill him. And you see the parallel here. Christ is our city of refuge, in whom sinners like you and me find a refuge from our avenger, from the destroyer of our souls. Just as a person could seek refuge, could flee there and stay there safe, we flee to Christ for refuge. We run to Christ to escape the condemnation, the curse of the law, from the wrath of God, and from an eternity in hell. And that's what the writer of the Hebrews meant. We who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. See, we need to learn to flee to this city of refuge, to Christ, and stay there. And we need to take hold of the hope, Christ, the sure and steady anchor. We need to learn to hide ourselves in Christ. We need to learn to abide in Christ. We need to learn to remain in Christ. And He's our only hope. Satan, if we hold on to Christ, Satan will not find a way to avenge us, to destroy us. We need to learn to hold on to Christ firmly and surely. He's our sure and steady anchor. He's our unshakable hope. All other grounds are sinking sands. Christ is our solid rock. I hope that's an encouragement for you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.